Hello, my name's Zeb. Welcome to my art channel. You're watching me just kind of loosely speed sketching on my tablet. I I'm not usually very good at drawing directly on the tablet. I'm someone who tends to prefer to draw on paper and then I scan it in and then do all the digital like painting sort of aspect afterwards. I just find I don't feel as connected to a screen for drawing, even though painting I have a blast with. But that didn't come over. But I know that didn't come overnight either. If you're considering taking up digital painting and expecting it to just be magic straight away, I'm sorry with some bad news, but it is it is a strange transition at first. It's not like those Danos ads where, oh, you're drawing and it's like black and white and like, oh, scrubbing out these awful drawings. But if I go to digital, I'll be instantly able to draw. Nah, you actually take a massive hit and you're quite a bit worse because there's just a different mind to pen connection on the computer in terms of for drawing. For painting, it's different, I think. But probably that's because you have nothing to compare to, unless I guess you are someone who used like Copics or paints or something like that. Which of course, I mean that exists. There is traditional painting, but in my head, I never had any of that. I only ever just drew with pen on paper, went to digital, and was like, "This is magical." But that did still take a while to learn. A lot of it was just learning to use optimize the programs I was using and stuff like that, setting up my shortcuts, actually learning the program and putting in that work. A lot of it, when you're being a digital artist, a big chunk of it, whether you hate it or not, it's a technical tool. In the same way that a painter has to learn about their paints and their easels and the canvas and the stinks that they need to have in the room and the waters they need to throw, a digital artist needs to have some awareness of whatever technological device or program that they're using. You need to know your commands and your shortcuts because they make it so much better. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing here. This is me going, I'm going to draw on the computer. And it looks alright. I'm pretty happy with the result. It doesn't necessarily feel right. Like my method, just like what I do on paper, this is a certain type of thing where I just get a large library of stock photos that I've bought or gathered over the years and just sort of chucked them into a big folder and then had to put them through a program called gesture reference or something, and it just automatically randomizes through them for 2 minute intervals, and I just try and draw them rapidly. It's something really liberal. It's weirdly like much easier to draw 10 things quickly than it is to draw one thing slowly because it just takes the pressure off. So that's what I was doing here. I just went, all right, I'm just going to draw a heap of stuff, put on a podcast, not really be here. I basically just left my body, went into the land of what was I listening to? Harmontown? Something like that. I don't know. Just the land of funny podcasts and wacky hijinks. And I came back and went, oh yeah, that drawing came out okay. That guy down the bottom right has a big mouth of him. And then I went on to paint them a little bit as well. I'd just been watching some videos on painting faces by traditional artists, and like they were talking about like face colors and how you can be more ambitious with it. So I went pretty crazy with the reds and pretty crazy with the yellows and the blues and all of that. But yeah, so that's what's happening here. But yeah, a little bit about myself. I'm a typical art person, I guess, in a lot of ways, but I'm someone who neglected the skill for a while. I didn't think you could do anything with it. Like as a kid, I think the first time I realized I could draw, we had something in kindergarten. They gave us like half pictures of animals, and we had to draw the other half. And I got a sticker for the principal for mine, and I was chuffed. I don't know what that means. I wish I still had that drawing. I really do. I would stick it up on my wall, on my fridge, just like proud of my childhood self. But yeah, and then just like any kid, when you're reinforced with something, I did it a lot more. So I drew a lot more, and I became that art kid. People were like, "Oh, you can draw," but it's just really like I think a lot of talent in anything is it's just that you're reinforced by it at a young age. It's kind of like kids in the first. I think how's it work? Kids who are the older ones in their year are more likely to be professional athletes, just because at a young age they're more likely to beat their peers because they're bigger at that age. So even once everyone else catches up, they've still had the reinforcement and the belief ingrained in them that they're pretty good at sport. And I think, that applies to drawing as well. But yeah, point is, I was an art kid and I like to draw. But one of the follies of thinking you're pretty good at something as a kid, and then you try to sort of do good at it, but then you sort of hit the barrier and hit the wall and you don't have a lot of the resources to maybe learn it, or you don't have the patience to sit there. Like I did try to do art classes once where they would just like draw cups and cubes, and I couldn't understand it, or I just didn't have the patience for it. So I guess I can't say I didn't necessarily have the resources to like learn to draw better, but I didn't have the patience, and it just didn't come naturally. So I kind of put off the skill, and it just became a party trick for me. And I didn't think you could do anything with it like career wise. I thought that money, I thought you could only make money with art if you essentially died. The whole Van Gogh thing. You had to be a tragic genius, and then your descendants might make some money, or whoever happened to like come into your collection or something like that. That was just the belief I had. So I went on to study more down to earth things. I went in a scientific direction instead. I'm gonna be a science guy. Seemingly the opposite of a creative field, but I think people don't really give scientific sort of stuff a fair appraisal. It is a very creative sort of field. It's a different type of creativity. It's a more problem solving orientated. But I mean, what is creativity if not problem solving, realistically? So I went in that direction. I, I would still draw occasionally. I would bring it out as a party trick. But I went on to I finished my degree and went on to try and become corporate, and I hated it. It was not good. I didn't excel. I felt kind of evil, so it didn't play out. It did not go well. I found myself fired after that on the couch, and I also got food poisoned like on the same weekend. Such a typical like dark valley moment. Eating ice cubes on the couch, just watching YouTube, watching Drawfee to kind of make me feel better. The Drawfee channel, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's funny. So I was watching that, and I was sort of fading in and out of consciousness because I didn't want to go to bed. I wanted to just have something to just watch, and it sort of went through. How the echo chamber of YouTube work, where it leads you into videos that are similar to those ones, but by the end of it, you end up watching documentaries on toilets somehow. If you fall asleep with YouTube on, that's not an uncommon thing for me to come into the next day. But I ended up on Sykra's channel. Is it said Sykra? Sykra? Sykracasm? A great YouTube channel on just like art fundamentals of learning and all of that. And I hadn't experienced anything like that before. I just somehow hadn't ended up on the art side of YouTube. I only really used YouTube for, I guess I was in my echo chamber at the time, which was science, or, funny animations, college humor, Charlie the Unicorn sort of stuff, I guess. What's that guy's name? His current channel? What's it? I don't know. That sort of stuff. Funny stuff. I wasn't using it for like to learn new skills exactly. Well, I was using it for science, but I watched this channel come on. There was a video about shape language, and I hadn't heard of that before. And it kind of blew my mind. Like my addled, half asleep, zonked out mind. I was like, whoa, fell back asleep. But while I was unconscious, it must have ticked through a heap of art videos, because next time I was on YouTube, my whole feed was just art stuff. And I started watching them. I started sort of sifting around in them. I came onto all these other channels. I found Cynics. I found Proco, Drawbox, and stuff like that. And I started to play around with these things. And again, I started kind of bringing some of these elements into my drawing, because I was kind of like play drawing a little bit with. I had another YouTube channel with a friend where we just kind of knocked off Drawfee. Speaking of Drawfee, but that was just with a mouse. It wasn't drawing for me. Like I wasn't using a tablet until maybe the very end of it. But I started playing around with it, and my eyes were open to, I guess, what art is now. It's not. I just didn't actually have a grasp of it, and I went, damn, this is pretty fun to actually learn about. And I started to see actual improvement in my drawing, and I thought I could probably take a good run at this. And I was in a pretty dark place at the time, and it was really nice to have something to sort of grip onto for that little period of time. And it helped me through that, and I learned a lot. And yeah, I fell in love with the process. Basically, I've been addicted to art ever since. I don't really know how to convert it into a career yet. But I mean, even if I don't, I'm still happy to be doing it. I'm still enjoying the process of learning art. And I think that's the goal of this channel. It's just going to be a record of me learning to draw, learning to paint better, and maybe sharing the things that I've learned along the way and helping other people who are on that same path that I'm on. I've picked up some tricks. I've realized some illusions about what it is to be effective at art, and I'd like to share those. And I hope to learn more in the future and share those too. But yeah, my aim's to upload probably every week or so. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited to share videos with you. I'm over on Instagram under the same username, Zebediah Art. So come say hi to me if you're on Instagram. I always love meeting new people. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.